Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Well, let's take a look at the Mcintosh ma7000. I thought about giving a review as if I was listening to it for the first time, not knowing the stuff that I know now about, I don't know, 10 or 12 years later. So this is based on that, just to give you some proper feedback. So, looks cool. Good headphone, lot of function, very compatible with basically most gear on the market. Very this is like a substantial upgrade, I think, for most people in the whole hi-fi industry, and still now, about 10 years later, still a very good upgrade for a lot of people. And just going from the 6900 model I had to this, you also notice that not only is it bigger and more powerful, but the watt meters have this like LED effect instead of small lamps, and that actually makes it quite a bit more attractive looking at it. So yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed this when I first got to hear Macintosh, and I was completely in love with Macintosh back in those days, 2008, 2010. That was like the top dog of the audio store models that there were available at that time. So and still to some degree, a lot of the stores in my country, Macintosh is almost always the top dog, the top seller, the highest high, that most people consider to be the highest level, or at least part of the highest level. Um, so I was used to Denon, Yamaha gear, exposure, stuff like that. And I had probably tried like, I don't know, 40 brands at the time. But this was like all 40 brands were like the lowest level, and probably like once in a while some mid-level, mid-model gear from those brands. So at that time I hadn't even I haven't even heard some of the really good stuff from Yamaha. Only some few things. So you can also check out my other video explaining now from my current view how it sounds, this amplifier and the Big Brother, because the Big Brother is without a doubt a lot better at pretty much every level. So, but let me take you back to that time so you can kind of understand what it was doing for me for the first time. And it was that everything was clear and separated in detail, like almost nothing else. And it sounded almost as if the power was endless with maximum amount of control. And it was kind of this sort of a cool royal type of sound where it would produce sound with a lot of ease, which I could never get with all of this regular gear that I tried. And that's Nate, uh, Yamaha, Denon, Exposure, all of these usual brands, Kenwood, Cyrus, and stuff like that. And it just had like a bass presence and way of plastering the whole picture up in a different type of holographic way. So, I mean, back then I was clearly, blown away by this ease of sound, how the sound came out so easy, really, because um, you just didn't have this like energy in your speakers. It just felt like the speakers were just constantly under control, like doof, 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 doof. And you never felt like the harshness ever getting to the very top, making it very unpleasant and unstable. It always felt like it was linear controlled, and in a way where everything was just so cool and smooth and royal and almost in a way very natural. That's at least what I thought back then. So I mean, of course, now so many years later, I can of course hear that that was only really an illusion from me basically being used to really bad gear. So yeah, at that time, I really wanted Macintosh. It was like the best that I ever knew at that time, and of course, combined with the Macintosh CD player, you got more into that like click click type of sound where it became a lot more sexy, appealing, and you felt like, nah, now you have to have it. Now you have to have it. It sold it a lot more. So I did experience that. Once you separated the amp from like the Macintosh CD player or turntable, it just didn't get quite as interesting and integrated. So yeah, that's those are like the impressions that I got from hearing it back then. And would I still own it today if I could? I mean, yeah. If I could get this for like, I think if I could get this for like $1,000 off the used market, I would still buy it. I mean, even though it's not nearly as good as my current Audio Note Auto amplifier, there's still sounds coming from this thing that just sound very different, in a totally different type of priority. Yeah, it isn't nearly as good in most aspects, but still there's just something about the sound, a certain type of flow and coolness about the sound. And I think that we all kind of appreciate that. A lot of people like Macintosh, Aquaface, Passlabs, Krill, Audio Research, stuff like that. And they all have this thing in common, that there's this sense of power, control, and ease. And then they all have this like different signature, different taste, different priority here and there. But I think we all get, at least in the start, fall in love with this feeling of just like ultimate power, that everything's just coming out in a really easy way, really cool way. So I really enjoyed that, and I also realized that this was the first model that I heard with Macintosh where you can't see it on this picture, but at the back there's a clips function between the preamp and the power amp that's built inside. And you can actually change the sound quite a bit by just putting an RCA cable on that instead. And suddenly doing that and then combining it with like perhaps a newer Macintosh CD player, I mean, suddenly it's like so much more cool. You're deeper into the sound. It's a lot more natural. So yeah, if I could get this amplifier for like $1,000 used, I would still buy it. Because it just looks so awesome, and it's so nice to feel and touch, and there just some certain tracks I like to listen to where it just sounds in this old style Macintosh vulgar type of way. I know that I wouldn't like to be locked to that sound, having to listen to all types of music via this certain way of displaying music like Macintosh does. But if I had like 10 systems that I had to settle with, I think I would like this as one of my 10 systems. And then I'd probably get like this streamer solution for my friend, and then just like run it 110% together with this. And then I know that this could sound a lot better than my friend's Yamaha receiver. I'm pretty sure Of course, I haven't heard that yet, but I'm pretty sure I would be able to do that. And I think that even though this is only like, I think 250 watts, I think it's more than enough for all people in the world, even people with these huge speakers in these huge rooms. I still think you can have like a room that's 50, 60, 70 square meters, and you could drive a normal set of speakers only around 90 dB or perhaps 88 or 85 dB. I still think that you could fill that entire room up with ease, having 250 watts with Mcintosh, and not having to use the newer models. Of course, the newer models are like a lot more evolved, a lot more meaty, a lot more black level. They got better with time, without a doubt, but they also introduced more circuitry, which I don't like, which I also can hear on the sound. So in a way it's a lot better, but in another way it's a bit like still a bit reserved in sound. So yeah, interesting. Those are my views on this on this very old amplifier, which is still quite good, and I think a lot of people would want to hear this. So that's how my review is going to be. Have a nice day. Bye.